The warzone nuke on Al Mazrah is hard enough as it is. Taking that challenge and making it accessible on Vondel, which is a smaller map that still has a 70 player count, that makes for a pretty challenging grind. To catch those up to speed who aren't very familiar with the warzone nuke or didn't even know it existed, here's the basics of it, regardless of if you're doing it on the Al Mazrah map or Vondel. You have to get 5 consecutive Battle Royale wins. It also doesn't matter what version of Battle Royale you win those 5 games in. If you win 2 games in duos and the rest in solos or any sort of combination, as long as you get those 5 wins in Battle Royale, you get the contract. If you're playing in a party, regardless of that party size, as long as every member gets those 5 consecutive wins, then you'll have, let's say if you're playing trios, 3 Champions Quest contracts to use. So you can fail it a couple times before you successfully drop the nuke. And when you're in game, you'll notice when the plane sequence is happening, it'll pop up on your screen that you have a Champions Quest active. That means either you personally or someone else in your squad has the nuke contract and you can complete it that game if you choose to pick it up. Don't worry, if you don't want to pick it up that game, you're not going to lose it. You will only lose that contract in the game that you pick it up. You can save it for a few weeks if you even wanted to. Anyway, no one else will be able to see that contract but your squad in the game as well, so you don't have to worry about a bunch of teams hot dropping on your contract and picking it up before you, since they can't see it. The only issue in I guess it's not even an issue, it's just the main challenge of the quest happens when you pick up the contract, because when you pick it up, everyone that's in the game is alerted that the Champions Quest has been initiated. It's not a huge deal, a lot of people actually don't know what the warzone nuke is, and just see this weird pop-up on their screen if they even notice it at all. The main challenge when it comes to the nuke is what happens after you pick up the contract. There's going to be 3 elements that spawn that you have to collect and plant in the bomb at the end of the game in order to detonate the nuke. These 3 elements have some really negative effects for you and whoever you're playing with. Not only does whoever's holding the element have a special most wanted symbol on them, in the case of Vondel, all 3 elements will have this special most wanted symbol, meaning you're going to want to have all 3 elements or as many elements as possible held by a single person so your entire team doesn't have symbols on them, and that's just the beginning of where it gets challenging. Each element has a negative tactical grenade effect on your team if you're in the radius of whoever's holding them. The first element is so annoying, it's going to give you guys a snapshot effect, so everyone that's an enemy is going to be able to see you through walls temporarily. The second element is actually the easiest, or I guess lightest effect that it'll have on your team. It just acts like a stun grenade and you'll randomly not be able to sprint. The third one is also really annoying because as you're trying to kill off every enemy that's pushing your team, you will randomly get shock charged by the element, meaning you're just going to fire your gun off randomly, not only letting enemies know exactly where you are by sound, but you'll have all the other elements stacked on top of each other, negatively affecting you. So I think you're starting to see why this grind is so difficult and tedious. Not only do you have to get 5 wins in a row, but you have to deal with these negative effects all game, while most of the lobby is going to be trying to kill you and steal the elements for themselves, because, by the way, if you do die with the elements, enemies are able to steal them and plant the nuke themselves, only if all 3 elements are active though. There's a lot of people that think, oh, if I steal their first element, I can go find the second one. But on Vondel, they actually aren't told where that second and third element spawn because you have to do them sequentially if you have the contract. The only time someone can actually steal the nuke and plant it for themselves is if all 3 elements are active and the bomb has dropped. They can kill the team with the elements and plant it themselves and steal the nuke contract. Super, super rare to have happen. I honestly don't even know if it has happened before. And the bomb site that you have to plant your elements in at the very end of the game, yes, the very end of the game, drops after the 4th zone, meaning you're going to play most of the game out with the entire lobby, either knowing where you are or trying to kill you because they don't want you to plant the nuke. Okay. So the nuke has dropped in and now you have to plant it. Cool. Everyone knows where that bomb site is and they're going to be protecting it like it's search and destroy. There is a couple bright sides to the nuke contract on Vondel. Because it's such a small map with such a high player count, when a lot of teams are pushing towards you, they're going to run into each other and they're going to be enemy teams, so they're going to kill each other off. and lower the player count little by little. It also depends on how your lobby is, because some games you might have a lot of the enemy teams wipe each other out trying to get to you, and in other games you might have a bunch of teams keep their distance and wait till the very end, so you really can't control that variable. When the bomb site's dropped and it's ready for you to plant your bombs, bring smoke grenades, because every enemy that has 4 brain cells is going to be watching that plant. Throw smokes, have your friends defend you, throw all elements into the actual bomb, and it takes around 15 seconds to actually arm the bomb. And once the bomb is armed, you just have to defend it for 2 minutes, which is actually quite easy, because once again, a lot of the enemy teams are going to be rushing towards that bomb to defuse it, and you and your team can stock up on kill streaks, equipment, thermal sights if enemies throw smoke grenades while trying to defuse it, just to protect it, and it's just 2 minutes. Just be careful, because just like normal search and destroy, not including ranked, defusing the bomb compounds off of each other, so if one enemy team defuses the bomb for 5 seconds and then another enemy team defuses it for 4 seconds, that's already 9 seconds diffused out of the 15 that someone needs to defuse the bomb to ruin your nuke. Pretty much you're in the clear when you hit 5 seconds left on the countdown, because there's not really anything anyone can do. The nuke is guaranteed to go off. And for some reason, if you end up killing off the entire lobby and having no enemies left in the game, you don't have to worry about your nuke not going off. Once all enemy teams are dead, the timer instantly drops to 5 seconds and the nuke detonates. And then you get all the rewards that come with the nuke contract. For Vondel, of course. There's a nuke for Al Mazrah as well, which follows the exact same principles. The elements have a less devastating effect on your team, making it a little bit easier, and they lowered the player count from 150 to 100, so Al Mazrah by far is the easier nuke to complete. So that is the Vondel nuke. That is the semantics of how it works. Most people already know how it works by either first-hand experience or seeing it from other content, and if you've never heard of the nuke before, hey, good luck. When it came to my actual group doing the nuke and my experience, getting 5 wins was the absolute hardest thing that we had to do. There was maybe 5 or 6 times, and I'm not even exaggerating, where we were on our 5th win, just about to unlock the contract in the top 5, and we would die having to reset our entire win streak over again, which was extremely frustrating. And when there was quads, my squad, we used all 4 contracts and failed every single one, and had to get 5 wins a second time to get more contracts. Fortunately for us, we did it on our very first attempt. There, at the time, it's been patched now, but when we were grinding the Vondel nuke, there was glitches where you could get under the map, and we kept dying to those people over and over again, ruining our streaks and ruining our nuke runs. And miraculously, the one nuke run that we actually completed it on, which was our 5th attempt, there were people under the map that killed us multiple times. I don't know what happened to them, if they ran into each other and ended up wiping each other out, if they hit a death barrier or died in the gas because they couldn't navigate under the map for whatever reason, or if they just stopped shooting us in general and let us plant the nuke. But we were able to get the elements over to the bomb site, plant it, and defend it off from all the teams that were playing normally and not using exploits. And we never saw them again, so I don't know if they died or what happened, but I'm so happy we were able to actually drop the nuke. It was more rewarding completing this challenge than actually unlocking Orion, because for me, mastery camos are pretty simple and straightforward. They're tedious, but that's how those challenges go. This was actually difficult and really frustrating to do. I probably could have unlocked Orion for a second time with the amount of time we spent getting those 5 wins in a row, completing those contracts to actually successfully drop the nuke. It was extremely fun and rewarding experience, and don't get me wrong, it was very frustrating at times, but we completed the Vondel nuke, and I don't know, we still have a couple contracts saved over, so depending on if they carry over from season to season, if there is a season 6 for Modern Warfare 2, we have 3 contracts saved and can go right into doing the Vondel nuke right away. So hopefully they don't expire or end up not carrying over. But yeah, there's honestly not a lot of direct advice I can give a lot of those grinding the nuke right now. You have to get those 5 wins however you and your squad play the best. whether that's killing as many teams as possible, running recons to know where final zone is, and then camping final zone. You have to do what works for you in getting those victories. You can't do what other people tell you to because it might not work. And the same goes for the nuke run and obtaining the elements and where you want to rotate to. Sure, you can get a stronghold and a black site so you have a permanent UAV, which is pretty much what everyone does when they're going for the contract and actually storing the elements and trying to keep them safe so enemies don't kill you. There is actually one thing you can control, and it's once you have the Champion's Quest contract, and that's deciding what zone to pick it up in. If the zone is mainly in water and there's not a lot of strongholds or the black site's not even in the zone, when you're flying in, there's no point in staying in that lobby and trying when you're just going to be at a disadvantage already. You're going to want to lobby shop for the best zone possible where there's strongholds mid-circle, a black site location mid-circle, which of course you won't know until you capture these strongholds. But if train station and whatever that building beside university is, if both of those are center zone, that's a great place to get your contract done. Other than that, it's up to you defending your team and staying alive for as long as possible. And hopefully you guys do actually get the chance to either attempt the nuke, or if you're fortunate enough, actually complete it, because it's a really hard challenge and there's a lot of players out there who struggle just to get Warzone wins in the first place. If you do end up attempting it, best of luck.